This video is sponsored by Dwight Street Book Club. Hello? Well, yes, this is world-renowned art curator Autumn Brown. How can I help you? A Dubai penthouse, you say? Interesting. No, I do believe that I might have some pieces that your buyer might be interested in. Let me go grab my checkered ascot. Hello, Mr. Zaman.
Hello.
I've come to understand that you're selling some paintings from a certain penthouse and are maybe looking to replace those paintings with some new ones. Is that correct?
I am. And if you've seen the paintings in the penthouse, you know that they have to meet the quality. So I'm excited to see what you've got to show me.
Oh, I've got some very superb quality paintings here. The first of which, it's quite a big boy, was actually painted by a contemporary of Gustav Klimt. It's called Vamp Garden. And
Wow.
many say that Gustav actually ripped off his farmhouse garden with sunflowers from this painting. I don't know if you're familiar with that painting.
No, it looks like an original to me. Very much does.
It's very much an original. As I said, Gustav ripped this off, and I have to tell you, this one is the better painting of the two.
I I would tend to agree.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
that's one. I have three for you because
Great.
obviously it's a triptych. Next one, I call this Parisian Gothic. It's got
Sure.
it's got lovely Louis here,
Uh-huh.
Armand, you got the theater, and then just this other creepy random guy poking up out of the
I was gonna,
back.
yeah, I was gonna say I love it. I love everything about it, but there's
Uh-huh.
something off. There's something about the shoulders and something behind the shoulders it's not quite
Yeah.
working for me. So
Okay. I
yeah.
understand that. Okay. All right.
Mm,
I
mm.
think you're gonna really like this last one here. This is called The Creation of Daniel. And you'll
And the two heads
notice
as well. I love it.
exactly, we've got the two heads to represent
hmm
young Daniel and
hmm
old Daniel.
hmm
Um, are we feeling luxury from this? Are we feeling
I
Dubai
am
penthouse?
I'm feeling luxury. I think I'm almost too clothed in it. So that's the only thing. But
Okay, I'll
I
I'll
love
get in
it.
touch with the
This one,
artist.
yeah,
And
this one is a favorite. Definitely, definitely.
okay, okay, cool. All right. I'll draw up the paperwork and we'll get things moving for this.
Great.
I can't wait to see it in the pit house.
I love those. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Jumping into the interview section, I was reading your Wonderland interview, where you said your methodology for getting into the character of Armand was to listen to music. So the question on everybody's lips is, what's on the Armand playlist?
I knew that was going to be the first question. Why did I know that? I was like, should I put this down? Um, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. It's extremely private because, um, mainly because it's it's quite embarrassing. Some of the things that are on there. So
Well, now
l-
you have, can you give me just like one,
no,
just
no,
one.
no, no. Is there one?
After I put so much effort into those paintings for you, come
Well,
on.
okay. The only thing, okay, I, it is I don't know. It's the only I don't really have like a sacred method when it comes to sort of how my process and acting and everything. I don't know. Each project is a new thing, and I kind of find my own way how to sort of get into it. But for this, for the first time, I don't know, music became quite sacred, and I didn't realize how sacred until I got to set on the first couple of days when we were shooting episode 5, and I kind of really relied on it. For better or for worse, because sometimes I kind of was like, if I didn't have my headphones near me, I would freak out a little bit. But so yeah, I do hold it quite close to me. But
Okay.
what I would say is one of them. Oh, actually, no, there's a couple that are um, music from this first season. So I've got a couple of tunes of Daniel Hart's that I use as well. That just
Excellent
take me
composure. I mean,
I mean, they just take me to places. They're just insane. He's amazing. He's a genius. So yeah. So a few of the season one Interview with the Vampire um tunes are on my playlist. The rest of
okay.
them are Spice Girls, mixture of Spice Girls and some NSYNC and a band called Hearsay. Do you remember Hearsay?
No.
You might not remember Hearsay. It's a UK thing. So the
Okay.
first they were like a band that was formed during this TV show called Pop Stars. I think it was like the first kind of one of the first um, X Factors. And
Okay.
I don't know why I'm telling you this. This is nothing to do with Interview with a Vampire. I'm so sorry.
No, I love this is like the conversational stuff that I love though. I do have to ask, have you seen the Spice World movie?
What kind of a question is that? Of course I have.
Of
It's
course
like
you okay, good.
a rite of passage here. Those like one of those like seminal British films that everyone has to watch. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not
I
the
don't remember
same.
it much, but I do.
It's
What?
not the same in America. Like I've asked so many people, I'd be like, have you they don't even know about the Spice World movie.
What? But they
Uh,
do know of Spice Girls,
they
right?
know
Because
of
the
the
Spice Girls
Spice
were huge.
Girls, of course.
Mm.
But I watched Spice World, I think for about 3 months, every single time I went to my dad's house. My sister and
Right.
I would just sit on the floor 3 inches away from the TV screen, just positively jamming out. I was like, I am Ginger Spice. I'm dyeing
Mhm.
my hair red. I'm a Spice Girl. And it really breaks my heart that more people don't watch this movie because to
And
me, Citizen Kane, Spice World, they're on the same level.
Spice was a bit higher. We
I
all know
bet
that.
honestly, yeah. I didn't know
Mm.
I have a film degree, so I feel like I have to keep a little bit of pretension here, but I mean,
I
between me and you, Spice World.
Yeah, I have three sisters um who we're all quite close in age, and when we were growing up, um Spice Girls and S Club 7. Do you know S Club 7?
I don't. I got
They
it.
were
You're introducing me to so many more new things.
this is you asked me what's my playlist for Interview with a Vampire, and I'm giving you a history lesson of UK pop bands.
I love this.
So Spice Girls and S Club 7, they were kind of rivals. They were around the same time, and all the kids were doing all the dance moves from all of their music videos, and my sisters would force me. I say force. I think I also liked going on with it.
Mm.
We would like we would like spend hours in our attic bedroom just learning the dance routines, and I'd be the one guy who couldn't couldn't do anything. I was useless. But
In the
but yeah,
back, like fist bumping or something.
yeah, trying to act cool or something like that. But yeah.
Did you have a favorite Spice Girl?
My favorite Spice Girl was definitely, I think it was Ginger. I was a big Ginger Spice
Oh my
fan.
God. This is why we've connected.
I have a thing for redheads.
Me
So
too.
Armand, it's yeah, real Armand came to me in a way, and I was immediately attracted to him.
Was there ever a discussion of dyeing your hair red at all or any shade of red?
No, unfortunately, I would have loved a little discussion about it. But no, we very much, um, I think we very much went into going, okay, I, I physically and can't emulate a sort of 15-year-old, or how old was he? 14, 15, 16 in the books, Ukrainian redhead.
Yeah.
I can try, but it's just not gonna gel together. So we've got to find Armand in me, and and we've got to meet in the middle. So that
Yeah.
was very much a focus rather than how close I can look to sort of the book version, I guess.
Yeah. I have one more goofy question before we get into the actual hard-hitting stuff. Um, season 1 ends. We
Mhm.
have the Rashid is Armand reveal.
Yeah.
You have a year before season 2 starts filming. How much of that time did you spend practicing your vampire hissing face in the mirror?
It was the most stressful hissing year of my life. It was a combination of making funny faces in the mirror and trying to learn French, and also like having mild anxiety attacks here and there and going, I can't do this. What's going on? Yeah. Um, you know what? I did more sort of. I didn't realize we were gonna do. I don't know why. I should have known. I'm in a vampire show, but I didn't. I didn't realize I would have to do any snarling or like any like like vampire
Yeah.
stuff. 'Cause I don't know. I came out of season one watching it and being in it, thinking this is sexy, romantic. This is
Yeah.
this is the coat of vampire on it, but inside it's so much more. It's like, um, but at its core, they're still killing people and they're still threatening and it's still horror.
Yeah.
So I should have done more gnarly stuff. But it was funny in episode 3, which we're gonna see. That I think that's the first time you see Armand's fangs unleashing this season and kind of
Mhm.
him attacking Lestat. Um, and yeah, I think that was the first time I had to do it, and I think I was just Levin, the director, was sort of kind of pushing me to do more and more, and I was like, "What? This feels so panto. Like, what am I doing?" And he was like, "No, no, it's great. Do more, do more. Be more threatening." He would like, and Levin's brilliant, but sometimes like, he would like snarl, and then he would get into it, and I'd be watching him, and be like, "Levin, you really want to do this, don't you?" He's like,
You're
"Yeah,
like, "You know what? We'll just
let's
swap us out. We'll
pop
put a wig
over."
on you. You can do the
Exactly,
snarling."
exactly. But yeah, yeah, there was a lot of snarling going on.
Jumping into like the actual like questions about the show in this episode. So we get our first like one-on-one interaction between Daniel and Armand as Armand this episode. Um, so the mask is kind of pulled back a little bit, but only partially, because obviously there's some sort of hidden history between Daniel and Armand. And Daniel's starting to kind of piece little things together. So, A, is Armand picking up on the fact that Daniel's remembering things? And what does that mean for Armand that Daniel is remembering?
One of the questions I had when we were sort of looking at these moments of Daniel sort of figuring or working things out was how does this powerful vampire not notice there's something shifting in this interview, and he is looking at me in a new way. um and I think there's something to be said about the power of blind love and need for protection of Louis, and our mind is so sort of wrapped up in the protection of everything he's built with Louis and protecting Louis from himself and all the threats that he thinks is around him, that um I think maybe also blinds Armand to how Daniel might be perceiving him. So yes, like, in episode 3 you see some of that mask shift from Armand, but I think he controls it in a very particular way, because I think it's yet another tactic. It's the first time they are alone together since he's revealed who he is, and here is a chance to. So I've in the last couple of episodes I've sort of convinced the love of my life to share the load of this interview, share the load of this story with, so that I can steer it in the most sort of safest way.
Yeah.
That's working so far. It's going well, even though but he seems to really not be taking that, and you see that in episode 2. He's just all of their attempts to all of Armand and Louis' attempts to sort of perform that love, and it is so performed.
Yeah.
Um, Daniel's not buying it, and I think Armand knows that he knows that it's not working. He's still kind of pushing too much, and this episode, I think, this beginning of it is an opportunity for now, Armand. I've got Louis on my side doing it my way. Now let's get you to do it my way as well. Let's see if I can placate you in a way, give you a little nugget into who I am, so you might see me in the way I want you to see me, and therefore you might be more willing to believe in the relationship that Louis and I have. Do you know what that is? I don't know if that makes any sense, but
That makes
I think that's what
perfect
he.
sense. And that's
Yeah.
actually you've, like, read because that you answered my next question within that question. So, the Armand mind reading, mind meld thing is
He's
already
on it.
happening here. So, Armand does open up to Daniel, and we get to see a little bit of Armand's backstory. To borrow Daniel's words, Lestat, 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 Lestat. I mean, what is up with that guy?
Right?
Can he
He's
not
everywhere.
just like let
He's
people
literally
live in
everywhere.
peace? He's everywhere. He's on
You
the
think?
wall. He's over the
Yeah.
shoulder. He's in the past. I mean, God, we can't
I'm,
get rid
suppo-
of
I'm
him.
I'm supposed to be older, yet he seems to be everywhere throughout history.
He really is. He really is. Um,
Might be an ancient vampire. It might be.
I guess we'll have to watch and see, won't we?
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, that's one of the big twists that they were talking about. We
Oh
don't know
shit!
what's
Did I
gonna
say? Did I
happen.
say something?
Did
Do you know?
I
Do you want
did
to see
I
my bowl of
reveal?
like, do you want to see my bowl of like slightly rotten apple that I need to finish? So I'm just gonna
Gotta get some lemon juice on
forget
those, man.
everything. Forget everything I said earlier. Just
Okay.
focus on the apples. Focus on the apples.
Hypnotized
Mm-hmm.
apples. That's all that we were talking about. So we go to, Les Innocents. Armand steals Lestat's boyfriend. Lestat comes down, chucks a crucifix on the ground, breaks up this unhappy little coven, busts up Armand's whole life. But then he kind of, gives him new purpose with the theater and everything like that, says he loves them, have a scandalous little affair in a theater box, and then he hits the road, Jack. How does like being broken, rebuilt, and then broken again by Lestat kind of affect how Armand goes through life from this moment on?
I think being broken, rebuilt, and broken again by Lestat is a tiny, tiny um, event in a vast uh, list of broken, rebuilt, broken, rebuilt events that Armand has gone through. This one might
Yeah.
be probably one of the most important ones that define him, but um, he the guy's been through a lot, a
The
lot.
absolute ringer.
Yeah,
His story is harrowing.
yeah, yeah. To say the least, it's so tragic and sort of just tough to sort of like even fathom. So I think he's developed techniques and ways, as as most people do with trauma, to sort of squash those feelings, those repressed feelings of sadness and rejection and worthlessness. And he has built some sort of armor around him to help him navigate and move forward. And I think that's he has no choice but to do that when Lestat leaves him. I'm still learning so much about Armand, even after we finished filming, and like sort of ruminating on it and watching the season as it comes into fruition. And yeah, I still ask myself, what keeps him carrying on? And I don't know if I've fully worked it out yet myself.
Yeah.
I know that he seems to find things that cling on to life, but yeah, he's such a desperate character.
He
Desperate,
is
desperate.
just
And
searching for something to kind like you said, kind of almost like give his life meaning, give his life
yeah,
purpose.
Yeah.
and trying to find that through other people or through, God or, Satan and all of
Mm,
that.
mm,
It's fascinating. And I love what you said about like, just with all the trauma and everything, having to develop armor that kind of clicked a little something in my mind of like with the interview and what you're saying with Daniel and having to like wanting to steer everything and have such control, you know, that is kind of this element of armor that he has around himself.
yeah.
Not not allowing himself to, you know, be opened up and exposed quite so much because he's had that happen time and time again, and
Mhm,
the effects have been catastrophic.
mhm. And I think the like the real tragedy of Armand is that even with Louis, he hasn't fully given himself, shown himself, and revealed himself. I think, and if you can't do it, if you can't be true to yourself and to the person you claim to love the most, if they can't trust you to be authentic, then
Mhm.
how can you ever really be authentic?
Oof.
But this got dark really quickly, didn't
I
it?
know, but I
Sorry.
mean, that's
Go
Armand.
back to my apples.
All right.
Nothing but apples here.
Nothing but apples, and we're good again.
Yep.
Go back in time to the 1700s a bit. What's your favorite, time period to shoot? Like the 1700s, the 40s, the 70s, the present day? What's the most fun for you?
I love them all for different reasons. I think I love Dubai because we get to sit down the whole time. We get to sit on these really comfy sofas and really comfy tables and chairs, and we're in like sort of very luscious, expensive kind of gear. Um,
Yeah,
so that's the reason I really. But also, I
love
mean, I also,
that.
yeah,
Because
it's
I've watched before and I've wondered. I'm like, is that couch really all that comfy? Are those chairs like
it
are
really
they
is. We used to have some long days on there where sometimes I would struggle to stay awake. I don't know if that's a good reveal, but yeah.
in the
Um,
background?
those were the days when we were in Dubai. Those were the few days that we were allowed, because we were in a sound studio, we were allowed to shoot during the day, because if we're every other time we are shooting at night. So
Yeah.
those would be like the few blessings. We'd be like, we have a day shoot. But then actually we'd be even more tired because we spent, however long doing night shoots. And I think we all sort of, by the end of, well, I know I did, sort of end of shooting, we were like, we prefer the night shoots because there is some sort of, you get into it more. It's easier to get into it. It's easier to sort of run on the adrenaline.
Get
So
into the
like
vampire mindset.
exactly, exactly. And then I love shooting Paris because that's like the meat of the show. Like, is there's so much happening, and we get so much time with the theater. And I like the theater of the vampires. You've met them now. They're all out. They are fucking incredible. They are amazing human beings, and they were like a burst of energy every time we were in the theater. We just had so much fun, so much fun. It was just yeah, it was we had like music in the green room, and we would like just it was just, and with a show like this, you need that. You need like
Yeah, the levity.
fun. Yeah, yeah. And it was really easy with them. The 1700s, I mean, we don't spend too much time there, but I really liked it because you see a kind of a dirtier side of Armand, and I
Yeah.
seeing, like, playing with that, and sort of kind of showing hints of the gremlin, which I'm keen to. I've already said this to Roland, and I think Roland Jones, the showrunner, wants to explore this as well. Hopefully, we want to see more gremlin when we get to season 3, if and when we get to.
Yes! Oh my god,
Um,
I was like, are we, because again, I love Armand's backstory. Obviously, like season 3, the plans, getting into Lestat's backstory and everything. And this felt like just like a little tease
Mhm.
of what more we could get. And I'm
Of
like,
course.
have you guys chatted about, digging
Well,
into Armand a little bit more? Because I kind of need to see a little bit more of you rolling around in the dirt underground.
yeah. I mean, I've already said this, and I think the this episode we go there, we hint at it, but we go there through Armand's eyes. This is
Yeah,
Armand narrating it. This is Armand controlling his version of this
exactly.
history, and that's a very, very dignified and preserved and controlled Armand. And was he really like that? I don't know. Let's see what the stat has to say about it when we get there.
Hmm.
'Cause I feel like he might have a lot to say.
Yeah. One thing that I don't know why this like jumped out specifically to me in this episode, but when you're in the theater and then later on, like in the cafe scene, and then even like, in the 40s, talking to Santiago on stage, there's a lot of telepathic acting going on. And
Mm.
I'm so curious about the process of how you guys filmed that. Like, is someone reading lines and like you're responding in your head? Or are they just like, now make a confused face, now make a kind of stern face now?
I'm really glad you asked that because most of the time the telepathy scenes, um, because we were in spaces with not too much sort of space in between, we're able to have the AD or someone read lines sort of behind our ears, behind our shoulders, sort of so we get the timings right. But when we were in the big theater, Sam and I had these earpieces put in because the space between the my balcony and the stage was vast. Yeah, we had these earpieces in, and we had pre-recorded our lines to each other in that scene.
Uh-huh.
It just never worked properly. Like they were just feedback, or like sort of they just they just spat out one line here and there, and we would be like, we can't hear anything. Like it's just
Yeah.
and they just never worked. So in the end, we sort of scrapped them and just imagined the back and forth between us, which
Acting.
yeah, acting had to come in and save us.
Also, too, so you don't get a lot of time to kind of like develop, because we do spend such little time in the 1700s. So you've got to like put into place this very turbulent relationship between Armand and Lestat very, very quickly. Like, what was that discussion like between like you, Sam, and Levin to kind of get the audience on board with where Armand's coming from with this?
We did talk about what Armand's sort of motive is for telling this story.
Hmm.
And there's a clear intention to humanize Armand, and I think he's giving a context to himself prior to Louis, to Daniel. When he's speaking to Daniel, and he's sort of um, um, filling in this the gaps that Daniel might have about Lestat, and he's sort of painting Lestat in his sort of fashion. Yeah, I don't know. We kind of just went into it. I mean, Sam will tell you himself, like he will definitely, this isn't the definitive version of him. This definitely just isn't his version of Lestat. It's mine. This is my creation,
Yeah,
and so serving that rather than rather than the truth, or what what actually happened. So um yeah, I think the whole sort of thing, even though it's Armand trying to paint a picture of Lestat, he's painting a picture of himself, the kind of leader he was. Or before Lestat came, he was downtrodden, he was sort of hopeless, and Lestat came and introduced this new way of life, and Armand let Lestat do it, let him come and ruin the coven, and let him sort of, and because Lestat had his ways, and I don't know if it was as passive as Armand was, if Armand was as passive as that in real life.
Can I just
Mhm.
say too, really quickly, like
Mhm.
you being under the cemetery, the whole hand, and like the vampire going up in flames,
Oh yeah,
loved it. Loved it.
it's
It just
cool.
like, it's really cool. It tickled like that like evil part of me that I'm like, yeah, set your
Yeah,
follower on fire. That's what I
yeah,
wanted to see. That's what I wanted to
exactly.
see from this
I and
time
I want
period
to
of
see more of
Armand.
that. Yeah, I think
Me
I really want to see
too.
more.
Because I remember like reading the books and the idea of after Lestat like breaks up the coven and Armand kind of losing it and just starting to like throw his followers on the funeral pyre. I'm like, that's so messed up.
Yeah,
Do it again.
yeah. There is this kind of yeah. People have asked me, oh, how is it to go from Rashid to playing actually playing Armand, and is that a relief to sort of be finally sort of play yourself? And I was like, I keep using the word I feel like I've been unleashed, but actually, I think I've unleashed him from Rashid, but also put him in another leash of his own making. Of he's still performing. He's still performing a version of himself. And when that is taken off, I think there's a really ugly side. And I really want to see the ugly side. There's
I
like
want to see the ugly side
yeah, it's
too.
fun to play ugly, right? It's like
Yeah.
no sort of no holds bars, no holes barred. Is that the word? Something like that.
No, no, sure. Yes.
Let's go with that.
We're
Apple?
rolling with it. Shifting focus to the 40s. Paris. Louis and Armand. Loving it. I think you did like an interview where you guys talked about how the Lumond relationship is going to be very kind of like classic 40s,
Mm.
old Hollywood, and I'm so getting that. What is it? How does Louis allure? Well, I guess Armand really has a type, these kind of outsider rogue vampires who are not living the life that the coven wants them to. How does Louis allure kind of differ from maybe other people in the past for Armand?
Louis is the most human. His, I mean, in the books, it's so, I think it's so beautifully sort of constructed because their first encounter in the theater after the show, them talking, ruminating on good and evil and existence and what it means and who are they. I think
We got to see a little bit of that in the cafe scene, which I love
exactly. And you know what
that
I
you guys
really love about
incorporated
it?
that.
I know, and what I really love about it is that we flip the sort of the um the serious philosophic sort of nature of that conversation. You expect it, it's such a big part of that section of the book and so important because it's also important in to get an insight into what Anne Rice was trying to sort of say with this with the book and the questions that she was raising. And so it's not a light moment, but I love that we do sort of um see it in like as a conversation would have been had it been real. It
Yeah.
wouldn't have, it you know we've had these conversations with friends before, with colleagues. We're just talking about life, but we don't in the moment we don't know how important these questions are.
Yeah.
um Only afterwards we realized the importance of it. And I just love that it was in the cafe amongst music, amongst lots of people smoking, drinking, um, uh, because that's what fuels the questions. You're seeing life move around you, and you know what you are, and you question your existence in that, good and bad. Why? Who are we? If if our desire is to kill all of these people who are just living life. um, so yeah, that's why I really love that take, the way we've sort of done that kind of conversation. I forgot where I was going with this in the beginning. We were talking about
Um,
Louis Allure.
Louis Allure. Yes, yes,
Allure.
yes.
His humanness, his kind of his I think his um thirst for knowledge, thirst for like sort of the meaning behind it is something that is really attractive to Armand, because Armand, he's gone through so much and had so much disappointment that he kind of every single moment, every single sort of significant moment we meet Armand is when he's doesn't care. Kind of, he doesn't really care about things around him. He's just someone who's just going through the motions. And when he meets Lestat has this sort of liberated freedom that lights a fire in him again. And
Mhm.
I think Louis has something else that lights a fire inside Armand again. His curiosity, his sort of curiosity of humans, taking pictures of them and watching him, you know, care for these creatures that I guess Armand has maybe lost any.
Sort of
Uh,
tied to.
yeah, yeah, because he's been around for so long.
So we get, to the end of the episode, and we have Santiago kind of presenting this sort of ultimatum to Armand, like, Louis not going to join the coven. He's being messy, leaving bodies in parks and stuff like that. He's going to get it exposed. You got to deal with them. So
Mhm.
Armand takes Louis down to the tunnel, and it seems for a moment like he's actually gonna do it. This is, I guess, two-parter. Was Armand actually considering maybe killing Louis? And obviously, he doesn't. What is it about Louis that kind of overrides Armand's loyalty to the theater and choose not to do what he's been asked?
Uh, First question, yeah, I think he went in there knowing he was going to do it. I think I think he fully intended to, not
Okay.
because he wanted to, but
Uh-huh.
because because of a sense of obligation to his coven, the to assert to sort of reassert his dominance and power, or like sort of make sure that was the way it was. He's enthralled and enraptured by Louis at this point, definitely for sure. But he still hasn't been with him for that long, and doesn't know him really in that sense. And this coven, however, who knows how he feels about them truly, but they have been there for him. And whether he likes it or not, that those centuries of sort of law and following the rules and following this kind of lifestyle that they've built, I think, I think Armand has he has a sense of obligation. He's good at following rules, and he's good at keeping, and he kind of needs those rules to sort of give him purpose in life. And
Yeah.
so that's why he sort of fell in line with the children of darkness for so long. That's why before that we've seen the life that he had with Marius as well. Like
Hmm.
there was strict rules and purpose to it, and there was a love, albeit toxic and weird and insane and fucked up, but it gave him a purpose. And then after it all got crumbled down, that he was ruined, and then he was built up again with another sense of purpose with the children of darkness, and that got crumbled, and then he built this new sense of purpose. And so those things, those structures, I think, are so important to him, he feels. And I
Hmm.
think in this point in time, when Santiago sort of gives the ultimatum about getting rid of him, he he knows that that's what he has to do, so he goes in with that express intention of doing it. And it's Louis's power, it's Louis's hold over him that stops him in the last minute. Because I think if Armand never intended to do it, then that would take away from Louis's power over him. it would have already been something that he was, I'm gonna
Yeah.
just. I think Louis has this in that moment when he asks about Claudia, and I think for me it's the moment where he says, "Look after her," you
Yeah.
know, "Look out for her," and I think that's for Armand that shifts everything. He's like,
'Cause yeah, even for me, that oh my god, when he's like, "Tell her she's beautiful every morning."
mm,
Oh my god, I was
yeah,
heartbreaking, and obviously I know that Armand's not gonna kill Louis, but still, I was like, "Come on, dude, stop it!"
yeah, yeah.
So having confirmation that that's kind of what did it for him. Well, speaking of Claudia and everything, Armand says, as he's kind of preparing Louis for the end, Claudia's not gonna last that long. She was turned too young, it's turbulent. Do you think that affects how he views Claudia just as like this kind of doomed creature not to get attached to?
He sees himself, I think, in Claudia, and in the books, I guess they are closer because of his age, and there's like I think he understands Claudia um a little bit more. What was the question again? I'm so sorry.
You're right.
I I don't know why I had this like a completely blanked for like 30 seconds.
That's fine. Apple?
Yeah. Well, I think I hypnotized myself with my own
You're like, "God, an apple sounds really good right now."
yeah.
Um, but so does, um, you know, his idea of like Claudia's not gonna stick around very long. She's not gonna make it. Does that inform how he views her as just someone not to get attached to at all?
I think he sees he admires what Louis sees in Claudia, but I think for him, yeah, he's seen too much in the past, and he's seen vampires older than Claudia, who just can't live through it. And there's this kind of sweet spot in vampiric life, I think, I guess, is you know where you either descend into madness or you learn to accept what you are, and that is something that happens over centuries. It's not in that sort of first moment. So I think he knows Claudia might survive, might be fine living life as a vampire for a while, but eventually this turmoil that she has in herself, with like the juxtaposition between her mind and her body, will override everything, and it'll just send her over the edge. And I think he believes that, because I think he doesn't. In the end, I think he doesn't really see her strength the same way Louis sees it.
Mhm,
Um, and again, because he doesn't know her, and because he doesn't, and I think he sort of he under. I'm sort of realizing as I'm saying this that Armand has a tendency to underestimate people, and I think that goes to Claudia, to Daniel, to Louis himself. Um, and I think that's, yeah, he has a certain blind spot for seeing people's strengths and their potential. And I think he underestimates people. So yeah, I think he thinks that Claudia, there's no way she can
yeah,
she can survive as long as I have, because
yeah.
Claudia can't endure as much as I can. Quite arrogant. Um, but yeah, yeah.
So we get to the end of the episode. Obviously, Armand does not kill Louis. Louis invites him into the apartment. How is this going to play out with the theater moving forward? How is this going to affect Armand's relationship moving forward?
Be fun and dandy, right? We're
Just
gonna
the
have a really
best time.
time, yeah. Everyone's fucking everyone in the theater, and Louis
Yeah.
can join in.
Should go up into those little theater boxes up there.
I I wouldn't you know what my question has been, I wonder if Armand ever proposed that, because he says, I one of this, by the way, those were one of my some of my favorite lines in episode 2, to telling Daniel. You know, I fucked Santiago as well, and Celeste, and Estelle, and fucked the father and son together.
Okay, that little detail, oh my god, because the first time I watched it through, I was just like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." But, like, I completely missed the last little, bomb drop there.
Yeah,
So, yeah, my
a bit of a
second viewing, I was like
yeah, yeah, a bit gross.
I was like,
um,
I'm gonna need more details on that,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
actually, no, I'm not. I'm
I
not
don't,
gonna
yeah,
need more.
I think it's best to leave it at that.
Yeah. Tame
Um,
Impala, the less I know, the better.
exactly. I love that song,
But
by the way.
also great
That
song.
that may or may not be on my playlist. May or may not. I don't. I'm.
Exclusive. We're pulling it out little by little. Oh, but I was just gonna say, I think honestly though, like as gross and weird as it is, it matches just so well with like an adaptation of Anne Rice's books
Yeah.
because that is by far not the grossest and weirdest thing
Hmm.
that happens within the Vampire Chronicles. So I like it's fucked up and weird and off-putting, but like
I think it's a nice
it
little.
we
It's
need
a nice
those.
little taster for things to come later on with more incest. So I think it's like it's us. It's easing us in. You know. Don't be.
Yeah, especially a certain relationship between some blondes, some
Yeah.
French Italian blonde mother son.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I've
No
not read any of
idea.
the book.
No comment. Zero comment on that.
The relationship going forward, I think, jokes aside, I think is going to cause some rift because well, we know that Louis sees the theater in a certain way
Mhm.
that disrespects the theater, and
Falling asleep during Santiago's performance.
yeah, and an actor like Santiago will have opinions about that.
I do think it's really interesting too. So obviously, like for centuries,
Mhm.
Armand has been a part of a coven. And I mean, even before then, at Marius's and everything like that, it's not like a coven, but it's, has the school with all these other boys and everything like that. He's been surrounded by peers for 500 years almost to present day in Dubai in the penthouse, just Armand and Louis. It's so isolated. And I'm curious, like, does that how does that isolation kind of play into the story?
Well, he's not isolated. He's got real Rashid and his little minions, human minions.
Right. Right. How can I forget about
No,
real Rashid,
when
the real
Mariah's not
MVP?
around, they're all having a giant orgy together. So
Oh, okay. Another exclusive here. That's why
um,
the bed was so big. Damn.
yeah, exactly. You got to put them all in. All the Rashids. They're all called
They're
Rashid, by
all
the way. They're all Rashid.
You've got real Rashid and
We've
then
got real Rashid.
semi-real Rashid,
Yeah, they're
dream
all
Rashid.
stages of real Rashid. They're all, they're all clones, basically. That's why the rest of them wear masks, and you only see real Rashid's face. I'm coming on to something here, actually.
Okay.
I think that's quite a good idea.
We're getting into some Interview with a Vampire meta here. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be hitting Twitter and Tumblr verse like crazy.
Great. Let's start some theories.
Exactly. Yeah. People are going to be posting up and they're like, actually, do we think that Rashid is Marius? So we know that Armand has kind of tinkered with the story quite a bit. We've talked about the armor, but we know he's, done a little bit of erasing of Louis's mind. He's done a little bit of erasing of Daniel's mind. We've removed some pages from Claudia's diaries. How can we as an audience member ever really trust anything that he's saying, knowing that he's tampered with the story so much?
I don't know.
You're
People,
like, you can't.
I
Okay,
mean,
get over it.
like, I think we all we all tamper with our story. We all tell lies. We all, big or small, but sometimes bigger. And yes, we have to be. I think everyone needs to be held accountable for their sort of for the big lies, but that doesn't that that's never the full person. Um and through all of those lies that and all of those sort of all of that manipulation, there is something there's something to be learnt about Armand in this season. And I guess, I mean, I'm talking right now. I'm kind of sort of talking as the actor portraying him, because I sort of did struggle with that as well. And
Mhm.
okay, how do I how do I find some truth or like honesty in this person who's quite fucked up and does some fucked up things and is weird and is needy and desperate and quite, yeah. But there's a vulnerability that all of that comes from vulnerability. All of that comes from some insecurity, some need to be seen and understood. And I guess I had to sort of find that, to sort of try and not make him uh like a two-dimensional mustache twirling kind of villain.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Which
yeah.
like, I mean, I don't wanna you've complimented me, so it's my turn to return the favor. I think you've done that smashingly. This towing the line, because, I mean, obviously, I have my doubts and my suspicions about him, but, like, I just think you do, so much excellent, like, quiet acting and everything like that, that really, really, like, convinces me. I'm like, "You know what? He's not a bad guy at all. He's just had bad things happen to him, and, like, maybe he has switched up the story a bit, but it's okay because 'cause I'm sure he has his reasons." And I mean, it's all, obviously writing helps with that, but, like, your performance is really, 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 really selling that.
Thank you.
And yeah.
That's really kind of you to say. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. I was just like thinking as I was like thinking about that, where is his sort of where is the positive in Armand? And going into, I think going into shooting and doing this was like so, um it's the first time I've ever felt like, oh, this, because at first I didn't think I had a lot in common with Armand, clearly because of what he's been through. But then going into it, there's like I do see a lot of myself in his. I think sort of performed confidence and I think we all have that. I know I've spent a lot of time sort of trying to feel like I belong in a space, and go, okay, I'm here now. I'm here because of my merits, and like I do sometimes struggle with accepting that I'm in this space now. I can take the reins, or I can have an opinion about these things, because often there are so many people around me who are so much more insightful about it. And with this job, it was that tenfold, because not only was I working with these incredible actors, some of them
Mhm.
are fucking lifelong, like sort of gurus of the source material, and then
Yeah.
also the writers who are gurus and geniuses, and then you've got an entire fan base who know so much about this and are so care for it so much. And I was like, how what could I possibly offer? What could I possibly sort of add to this vast knowledge that
Mhm.
people already have of the and that's a really scary kind of prospect. But I think actually it helped me, um, find sort of with the vulnerability in Armand a little bit. I think I'm not sure, but
I think you, as you said, you have earned your merit here, your place here, and everything like that. You're doing it smashingly. And I'm saying that even I remember watching season one before, obviously, we even knew. what your real role was gonna be in this, and I remember, like, laying down on my couch thinking, I'm like, "I like this Rashid guy. He's pretty interesting." I'm like, "I hope that they find a way to, like, keep him around for season 2 and, like, on and on, because maybe he'll just, like, be Louis' assistant, writing things down on a clipboard or on his iPad. Or maybe they can just, maybe they'll turn him into a vampire and he'll just have, like, a bigger role later on." Little did I know.
That's exactly what Roland was doing during the filming. I was just Rashid, and then on the last day he was like, "Hey, do you fancy being Armand?" Imagine if
I
it was that. Imagine if it was that simple. I
Immediate
would
death.
I would have just gone, thank you, but I think I'll pass. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, frightening prospect. I've read interviews where you're talking about, like, the process of, being
Mm.
cast as Armand. But did you have a moment where you were kind of like, "Actually, you know what? I don't think I wanna audition for this role anymore."
No, actually, no, never,
Okay.
never. Yeah, I was like, I, I didn't think I was going to get it. I was really convinced I wasn't going to get it. I, by I think audition 6, I was like, no way, like, I can't. This is just too. It's such a part, such a um, so important and so important in the story that, like, I don't know if I've given enough in at that time, if I've shown enough that I could do it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I definitely didn't think I was going to get it, but I wanted it. I really, really wanted it. And um, yeah, yeah. And I snuck into. I was doing a. I don't know if I've said this part. Maybe should I tell? Should I
You
say?
should.
I can't.
You
Fine.
should. We're old friends. You can tell me anything.
I I snuck into so I was doing a play at the National Theatre at the time in the
Mhm.
UK. There's 3 stages, and when we were getting to audition 5 and 6, um, I knew by then I'm auditioning for Armand, and Roland gave me Santiago's speech in episode 2, his opening to the theatre, and he asked me to
Wow.
perform that um, because I think the we didn't have the Armand dialogue yet. We didn't that season 2 dialogue wasn't there yet. So
Yeah.
he was like, well, I need to see something. So he said, this, take this. And so I did that, and I snuck into one of the other theaters during a matinee in the building that was locked, and I wasn't supposed to be in there. And we kind of guerrilla
Love
style,
this.
me and a friend, a guy in the show that I was doing, he filmed me going around the theater and actually performing it in front of this theater and, like, sort of belting it out. And then the security came and kind of ushered us off, and were like, "You can't be doing this here. There's a show going on next door."
Like, "No, no,
Uh,
you don't understand.
this
This
is
is so
important.
important." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, we've heard it all before. Get out."
Yeah, yeah. I think maybe I got it just for pure desperation and effort I went into trying.
But again, desperation, Armand, hand in hand.
Works, yeah, yeah,
It
yeah. But
works.
also, like, I was like, I'm in a theater. This is a theater speech. I've got to get out there and perform it there. So,
Yeah. Louis and Armand are aware of this whole great conversion thing because Louis mentioned it in the first season. Is this anything that you guys are worried about, or are you too focused on your little telenovela going on in the penthouse to really offer a lot of thought to that?
um, I I think let's focus on the telenovela right now.
Okay. Okay. All
That's
right.
all.
I'm sure
Because that's the most important part. It's a telenovela. Everyone needs to sit down and watch the telenovela.
it is. Oh my God.
It's a family thing, right?
Yeah, get my mom, my nieces, all the kids around. Let's sit down and
Yeah.
watch. Get some red wine going, bubble bath. I'm
Yeah.
here for it. So teasing a little bit to the future, because I and many others are very, 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 very big fans of Devil's Minion and the whole relationship between Armand and Daniel. Um, I know that you can't get too into it. We don't want to get into spoilers. So instead, I'll kind of ask, how did you and Eric and Luke all kind of develop this trifectorate? Yeah, they're playing the same character, but obviously different characters, and how they interact with you, and how did all of that come about?
Well, firstly, can we sort of give props to Luke and his sort of insane meshing of Eric Bogosian's all attributes and sort of like they are so. I think he got the Malloy so brilliantly, and I really love it. The I mean, The Devil's Minion is like, yeah, it's a fan favorite for a reason. It's such a cool story. It's such a fucked up and cool story. It's like a yeah, it's like you could do it in so many ways. There's a movie in there, or there's like a mini series in there, or it can be sort of threaded into um the the universe, the Interview with the Vampire universe as a whole as well. So we we definitely love it as well. And yeah, I can't say to what extent we're exploring Devil's Minion, but I yeah, it's 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 good, and I think it would be a shame not to have it.
Okay, last little questions to end us off. First up, I gotta ask about the Vampire Chronicles. Is the Vampire Armand your favorite book?
Of course. I
Of
mean,
course.
it was the first one I read the Vampire Armand first, before Interview with the Vampire, because I just was like, I need to sort of know who this guy is. Also, I was aware that Anne Rice's characters shift quite dramatically after the first book.
Mhm.
I think Armand is one of the and Lestat, of course, changes a lot to become the sort of main protagonist. But then I
Yeah.
think I do feel like I don't know whether Anne Rice herself was conflicted with Armand or not, but yeah, I feel like Armand's journey as a character was almost as treacherous as his life as as in yeah, growing up. So yeah, yeah. But the Vampire Armand, I love it. I do love it.
Do you have a favorite, like, little just Armand fun fact that you have latched onto that maybe not a lot of people know? Like mine, for example, I love the fact that canonically he's an X-Files fan.
Mm,
As an X-Files fan, like, yeah, Armand would for sure get down with whatever Fox Mulder and Dana Scully are getting into week after week.
for sure. For sure. I think I don't know if I have a fun fact, but the like his sort of his his obsession with technology and all things kind of that and sci-fi. Yeah. Also, those are things that helped me. Again, these I should have remembered this before, but those are also little things that help me access him and bring myself to him a bit more, because I'm a bit of a technophile. Is that when you're and like a bit of a geek as well about those things? Yeah, those things are what I really love about him.
What's like, do you have like a particular type of gadget that you would really get into? Like, I know some people are really into like phones or cameras or
I'm quite inept at it, but one one thing I really one thing I really loved or love doing is when I go to an Airbnb. Why? But and I remember this because I've done quite a bit of traveling in the last couple of months, and if I go to an Airbnb, the first thing I love doing is switching linking my phone onto all the gadgets available on the TV and going, ah, oh my God, I can link my phone onto there and I can see my emails on the TV, and I can watch and I can link onto my Netflix and all of that stuff. I don't know why it really fascinates me. So wherever I go, I put my bags down and then I go to the TV, switch it on and go, is this a smart TV? Yes, we're going to have fun. If it's not a smart
Yeah.
TV, miserable.
You're like in Paris. Who cares about the Eiffel Tower, the Pantheon, all that?
I
I can
mean,
get Netflix from my phone to my
I mean,
TV.
look at his iPad. I mean, we've carried that on with the show. His sort of his love for technology is there. Is there.
And I think it's just so fascinating too, because he is such an old vampire and he's been through so much destitution and everything like that. And I love that he's made such a violent shift the opposite direction instead of like
Mm,
looking to the past, to the past, to the past,
mm.
very much keeping up with what's current, what's present, and everything like that.
You know what's interesting about that, and I think it does harken to our times now. If you know, I mean, I notice a lot of like people over a certain age are becoming a lot more sort of in touch with or in tune with how to work an iPad or a phone than I guess older people were in the early mid 2000s before the technological kind of boom. Like, you know, the sort of stereotype of an old person not knowing how to work a computer, that
Yeah.
kind of doesn't really exists anymore because most old people do know how to work phones and an iPad and stuff. And I wonder if that's like be, it's because there's like it's so easy, it's an easy way to access the past as well through because there's so much information on that
Yeah.
is easily accessible. So my dad, for example, like would never have known how to use a laptop or a computer when I was growing up.
Mhm.
Now he has an iPad that when he's not working, he sits and he has his headphones in and he just watches YouTube videos over and like constant YouTube videos from like old footage from Bangladesh and historical things and political things, everything happening in his home country. And he knows exactly how to do it without any help. And once upon a time we would have had to like literally move his finger to the right button, but he's
Yeah.
sort of do that on his own. I think it's I think yeah, I think that sort of gap between technology and age is kind of shrinking, and maybe Armand is a product of that as well.
Look at you. Jeez. Getting very philosophical with this all. I hadn't even like thought about that.
Neither had I when I was shooting. Where was this when I
I'm
was
like,
shooting?
okay,
Oh my
bring me
god.
on. I'll come to set. We'll like have these type of discussions. It's
Yeah,
fine.
great. Yeah, I love it.
Last little question here before I let you go. Because
Yeah.
do you think that you could use your influence as the Maitre to get everybody to come join my rafting team and go down the river with me?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so, so much for chatting with me. Wish we could chat longer. Assad?
Assad. Yes. Thank you,
Okay,
Ort.
got it.
Yeah.
This is to you, your portrayal of Armand, and being shot through the heart by your portrayal of Armand. So,
And to you.
cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Oh, that's strong. Whew.
Yeah,
Um,
this has been the best. Love chatting
amazing.
with you, and I hope that we get to do this again in the future.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so too. Right, take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Jumping into episode 2, definitive answer. Does Paris suck?
I don't know. You have to you have to wait and see.
Okay. Being coy with it, I see. All right.
It's all about perspectives.
It is all about perspective. But
Yeah.
with like starting out though,
Yeah.
Paris does suck a little bit, right? Yeah.